Zambia Blog Talk Radio.
Do you want to promote your business on Zambia Broad Talk Radio? Yes, that's right. Live on Zambia Broad Talk Radio. To book your spot, just make a donation by picking from the following categories. To get started, just call or WhatsApp the number on the screen and you'll be good to go. Live on Zambia Broad Talk Radio every Saturday for 1 full month. And it will stay on the recorded shows.
To put something nice together for you, and we've got some gift bags for you as well.
All right, everybody, welcome to Zambia Blog Talk Radio. It is Saturday, November 19th. Tomorrow, 20th November, the Embattled World Cup kicks off in Qatar. I call it embattled because there's so much talk around this World Cup and things that happen behind the scenes. Welcome to the show. Tell a friend we are on, and you can watch us and follow us on ZBTR TV on YouTube and Zambia Blog Talk Radio on Facebook. Welcome to the show. Let me introduce my friends here. Hi, Mr. K.
Hi, good evening.
Are you ready for this conversation? I've got some hot things to bring up here.
Super excited and very ready to get going.
Super excited and very ready. All right. Yeah. Okay. We are very honored to be joined by two distinguished gentlemen. They've been here before, and we thought that we should bring them back so that they can give us their thoughts on, I'm calling it the Embattled 2022 World Cup. Chomba Mwansa. Hi, Chomba. Welcome back.
Hi, Nathan. Thank you for having me back here. Hi, everyone.
You're looking forward to this discussion?
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward.
And my favorite nephew, Kasanda Mwape. Kasi, we call him Kasi in the family. They still call you Kasi, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, in some circles, it's still the recognized moniker. Glad to be back, actually. It's been a while. Last time we had a very hot and spicy discussion, and it actually led to quite a bit of discussion afterwards. So really? It was very exciting to see what happens. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what happens here. So I also noticed that the right way to say it is what? I'm trying to see what is written. FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022. So the year comes at the end of everything, right? You know, the way I wrote it, I wrote FIFA 2022 World. It doesn't matter. Let me throw this question. We're going to do some basic stuff, okay? Just for everybody to get on board and get to the point. And Kasulova, today you can be on whichever side you want. As a host, as a guest, and I know you are so much into soccer as well. So, gentlemen, what is the process of selecting a host nation for the FIFA World Cup? I'm asking this, you know why I'm asking this question. It's going to lead up to the issues surrounding this World Cup and the so-called corruption that went around it, which to me is just okay.
Interesting.
So what is the process? Chomba, Kasanda, it's up to one of you. You can both go at it. How does it work?
Chomba, do you want to stab at it? I can just give you a simple outline. So basically, countries have to bid, and usually they open bidding quite a way out. Like they will bid sometimes and plan like 10, 12 years ahead of time. And basically, part of the criteria for what they're considering in terms of bidding is number one, infrastructure and capacity. But they also give special preference to countries in the name of using football as a means to sort of bring development and progress to different kinds of nations. So countries generally also get considered, especially if they've never hosted it before. That's definitely something that does factor into their consideration. But I'll let Chomba also just jump into there so that we can have a more robust breakdown of it. Chomba?
Yeah, so in addition to what Cassandra said, the FIFA body will have to look at the infrastructure, the country, the location, and all that stuff. So basically, when countries come together, they submit their bids to host the World Cup. The decision then rests on FIFA through a wing called the FIFA's Congress. That is the body now that starts to vote on the countries that have submitted the bids to host the World Cup. I think currently, I think even up to the time Qatar was being selected, I think the rules are that countries are supposed to put in bids at least 10 years before the actual year of the World Cup, so
they're
that
applying
FIFA
for,
is
yeah.
given yeah, exactly. Then FIFA is supposed to announce the imaged winner at least 7 years before the actual date of the World Cup.
So what is the composition of the Congress? You've mentioned the Congress, Chomba. What is the composition of the Congress?
Well, currently, I wouldn't. I'm not so knowledgeable on the composition of the Congress, but I would like to believe it should be mostly the subscribers to FIFA. So basically, it will be the countries that subscribe to FIFA, and but I would like to think the ultimate or the big vote goes to the FIFA body itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every, just to also add on to that for everyone listening. So like FIFA registered nations, I think they should number about 211. And once the shortlist for whatever year they are discussing has been finalized, all 211 member states get a vote to ensure fairness. And I think there's some kind of balancing, like Chomba said. And then after the majority has gone through, generally it just makes sure that protocols are followed, obviously, by the management team at FIFA, the committee that's overseeing it. And then they generally have to make sure that things are ordered. In fact, this is actually where the nice, juicy stories give rise, because since every member state has a vote, if certain number of votes come into favor, I mean, you start to see where the math becomes an interesting dynamic, basically. Because one of the things that was also interesting about this particular Qatar World Cup was there's a documentary on Netflix, and in it's Sepp Blatter is giving his comments on different kinds of things. And one of the things that apparently is being said by the report is that he was surprised that Qatar actually emerged as the most popular vote. And that just shows that there's a very interesting dynamic of democracy. But based on their system, it takes literally 211 people to give you a majority vote for you to host a nation.
Okay, interesting. So then let's get to the bottom of the issue of this host nation, Kasuluva. What really happened with let's revisit this thing, because to be very honest with you, and I'm trying to be gracious with my language here, there's a lot of nonsense that has gone on and said about this. Kasuluva, what really happened with the Qatar thing? What really happened?
So before maybe we get to that, I would like to just bring out something as regards the composition of the Congress, because obviously the major question is the composition will lead to how was the selection process as regards Qatar. So the Congress comprises of about, I just picked something here. Congress is composed of 209 members. So three
people have been fired, I think.
Okay.
Oh, three. Okay. So now, so from each, and these are from each National Football Association of
That
FIFA.
is registered, yes.
Yes, that are registered. They meet annually, according to the Congress rules. So now here as well, the other argument would be because they only get to meet annually, there isn't much productivity. They don't meet as frequent. Anyway, yeah. So coming to now your question to say, how did it go about, like choosing Qatar?
Yeah, what was all this? What are the issues surrounding the
So,
Qatar thing? What happened?
okay.
So let's just refresh our memories. Even our guests, our people watching, let's refresh our memories, because all the articles that you read, it's just negative, negative, negative.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's very true. And there are different schools of thoughts that have varying opinions. But
Yeah,
the
even
major,
schools of thoughts on this.
yes,
Yes, there's quite a few.
yeah.
I
But
want
then,
to hear them. I want to hear them. All the
so the
schools of thoughts, let's hear them.
So the major issue is okay. Most things sprang up during the corruption allegations for the former FIFA president Sepp Blatter, if we might remember. Yeah. So there were all these issues to say there was bribery involved. There was bribery from different sectors of the world as regards sport, obviously, and all this plundering of money. Some cases, a number of cases, actually, Sepp Blatter and part of his committee were found guilty, actually. So there was also another rumor that came out to say FIFA had been accused of being paid about £3 million by Qatar in order for Qatar to host the World Cup.
So
Then now,
so right there, so that we don't lose certain things that you are bringing up. Okay.
yes.
So
yes.
if Qatar paid FIFA £3 million, isn't that public information? You are paying an organization. You are not paying Kasanda Mwape who can hide the money. You are paying an organization. Isn't that public information? If an organization receives money, isn't that public information?
So not really, because that organization is not supposed to receive that money. So the bidding process, like Cassandra had made mention, is just based on a nation meeting the criteria involved. So do they have the financial capacity to host the World Cup? Because there's going to be infrastructure development. What are the risks? How safe is that nation as regards violence? So the peace around, in order that these players or these foreign people that are coming will be safe. So looking at the political environment and all those other things. So that whole screening process does not involve a nation paying a football governing body. So that's where the issue comes in.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
the other
and
continue.
And so now, just maybe let me wind up. So now the other issue that comes in is the former president of FIFA himself, Sepp Blatter, mentioned afterwards to say we made a mistake. Qatar wasn't supposed to host this World Cup.
Win.
You see? Yes.
He said that?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. On video.
Yes.
On video, he's been caught saying we made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes things very interesting because the other school of thought, like you were curious on,
I want to hear the schools of thoughts.
Is there's been a lot of pressure from the Western world, especially I think since I think 2005 going forward. I think Korea, I'm not sure which one it is, the 2008 World Cup, I'm not sure which one it was. I think it was 06. I think either the one in Japan or Korea, one of them started to make quite a bit of noise. And I think the West discovered that football is actually a bigger deal than they had previously anticipated. And so in 2010, when they were bidding and that's ironically the year that South Africa was given, they started to take a very keen interest in terms of hosting it. A lot of Western nations were interested in being the prestigious hosts. England, notably, was one of them. The US of A was also one of them. And there was a lot of high level interest from a very Western friendly bias. And so there was a general feeling.
Why are you putting the word friendly there?
Because there's there are interesting clauses, and I wish I had the rule book here, but what they did was there's some countries that I think because of the timing or something like that, because I think after you've hosted it, you can't host it for, I'm sure there's a specific number of years that precludes you. So to be beneficiary or to be participatory, you sort of have to back other countries and different kinds of things to protect your interests, etc. And so there's been an influx of, it's almost like it's split FIFA in the middle. It's almost like there is the eastern side of things versus the western side of things, because even when Russia was submitting their bid and I think they had won their bid, there was a whole debacle also about this shouldn't have happened and that shouldn't have happened and different kinds of things. And so there's a consistent underlying trend in terms of who gets the say. But leading up to this Qatar one, there was a heavy push from the UK, among other nations, to be in the running. Now, obviously, the UK was disqualified. I think they were not eligible to bid. But the US was, and Australia was, and a lot of their allies were in the running to make this bid. Okay. And there was a general feeling of being convinced.
What you are saying, I found some information. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring it. I couldn't put it in a format where, yeah, this is where Kavidi, Uncle Gregory Ufontini Wakumufrila comes in. I found a table here, okay, and it shows 2022 FIFA bidding majority, whatever. So it shows Qatar, United States, South Korea, Japan, Australia, like you have mentioned.
Yes. And so out of the elimination, through various reasons, and you see, FIFA has not been completely open about the inner workings, but there were reasons why some of these other countries were disqualified. And there wasn't much of an argument because I think everybody expected the front runner, which was the US of A, to pick it up. What also doesn't get said in the media is they put a lot of pressure. Obviously, it may not have been overtly monetary because no one can confirm or deny whether that actually happened. But at the time, it was said there was a lot of strong pressure coming out of the USA to pip Qatar for this particular bid. And so when the bid went the other direction, the amount of shock and disappointment was palpable. Like you could literally feel the upset in the room. And it begs the question, and everybody then throws the process into disrepute, but it begs the question to say, if you look at their procedures, it's very hard also from this school of thought, at least, to justify how that process would have been circumvented. You know, it doesn't make sense because
you see, Cassandra, what you are saying, and what you are saying is, before I lose this thread, Kay, we are going to come to this issue of human rights. Kay is mentioning that. Let me just put it up here. We shall address this issue Kay is raising. Did you guys hear of over 5,000 workers? The human rights issue is also another thing. We shall get to Kay's point. So, from what you are saying, it takes me to this. You talked about infrastructure capacity.
Right.
You know, I was just reading Chomba about the place that where the US soccer team is staying. I think it's a man-made island or something like that. These people have got oil money; they can do anything. Now, here's my question.
Right.
Okay. Money shouldn't just be in the Western countries. Then it becomes an issue. Is there, Chomba, is there a strong and structured soccer league in Qatar?
Well, yes, Qatar does have a league It is called the Qatar Stars League. You would be surprised that this league has been running in Qatar from the year 1963.
Oh wow!
Up to date. I think the only issue that we are only learning of Qatar and its football now is because the mainstream media that we are exposed to, which is mostly biased on the Western side and the European side, they don't get to cover much of the other leagues. Go to Asia, there's football there, but how many times are you exposed to the leagues that are sitting in Asia? How many times are you exposed to the leagues that are sitting in the Middle East? So yeah, Qatar does have. And I think for the last few days on Super Sport, they've been doing documentaries of the squads that have been called to represent each respective country. And when I saw the coverage for the Qatar national team, the players that were covered, the minutes that they said they've played in their respective leagues and everything, I was surprised that these guys actually do play football. Yeah.
You see, the reason I'm bringing out this point is that I want us to eliminate all these things, all these what do you call it, doubts, question marks that have been put across to make it look like at times when you say things in English that what it a bowler in those parts of the world. You know what I'm trying to say?
So if you see,
this is what Uncle Gregory is saying. They have very strong leagues in the Middle East. But why do you want to create the impression like they don't even play football there? I mean, I watched what do you call it? I know Saudi Arabia is a very strong national team. All those war and battled countries, Iran, Iraq, they are bowler. So
yeah, so like I said in my explanation, you see, the USA was one of the strong contenders to host the 2022 World Cup. Then they lost to Qatar for whatever reasons. What happened? And the mainstream media and everything that is under the influence of the West, obviously they are not happy. They were not happy. So they will not be in the forefront to promote Qatar. They wanted it on their home soil. So they're going to bring in all their professional investigators, pinpoint every single number that will add to their script of human rights violation and everything negative they can find, because much of the media that we're exposed to is being controlled by the West and the Europeans.
No, of course. It's the person who's telling the story or the report or whatever. Here's another point that I want to bring up as we transition to talk about. We shall also talk about Zambia's involvement in this. Kalusha Bwalia analyzing for Super Sport and our favorite referee, Gianni Sikazwe, being called up there. Kasulova, do you honestly believe Qatar paid Ecuador to lose the first game? Have you guys seen that report?
Yeah, and the amount is about let me just see if I can find that. The report is that eight Ecuadorians were paid an amount
to do what? The team is 11. So if you pay 8, what are they supposed to do? Let the ball pass them and falling foolishly. What are you saying? Okay, my question is, I want you three of you to respond to this question. First, Kasulu, do you honestly believe? No, maybe I shouldn't say believe. Do you, what's the word? Help me out here. Do it.
Think, maybe?
Honestly, do we have facts about Qatar paying Ecuador to lose the first game?
So the way that I personally would tackle this question is, for starters, match fixing is definitely there in football and in sport. It's there in football because football is one of the biggest sports. So match fixing, even when it comes to officials like referees, We've heard of them being paid so that they officiate in favor of one team as opposed to the other. All those things are there. But then this one becomes tricky because, one, we do not have the facts to say, yes, this happened. And two, there are so many forces that are against the World Cup going on and all that. So it could also be possible that it's just now stories to just paint Qatar black. Yeah. So
I like that statement, to paint Qatar
Yeah.
black. And you see, that's why I'm having us talk about this, because to me it looks like that's the agenda here. Okay, Cassandra, you also respond honestly.
Yeah.
On
I mean, these issues are, they're very difficult, and they're very, 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 very sensitive issues. But there's definitely, for me, my perspective is there's a propaganda war here, and it was the agenda already from the beginning. If you look into even just these investigations into FIFA, you'll find that, yes, quite all right, there were some discrepancies even when the investigations went on, but nothing was ever proven. And we've known that the West is masters at propaganda and delivering a certain kind of messaging that convinces people of certain realities. So the real issue here is that about how are there any facts on the ground? And the answer is no. There's no actual way to prove the Ecuadorians were bribed, and there's also no way to prove, even if they do lose, that it was because of that, because it also discredits the Qatar national team. And like Chomba was saying, they could have been very prepared. They've had 10 plus years to work on this, and no one has seen what that kind of league is like. We are not aware of their preparation because of media coverage and biases. They could just genuinely be a very strong team, and people are looking for ways to sort of discredit the decision, so that in the next coming decisions and votes for where FIFA will award the next World Cup, the propagators of the agenda may be looked upon favorably, having successfully obviously convinced others that the people they gave were bad. So therefore you should look at us now, because look at what happened. And it's a story that's going to be told. I can also predict for you, based on what I've seen, you are also going to hear a lot of strange stories at the World Cup. You will hear people going on social media talking about they were mistreated in hotels. You're going to hear people creating very strange stories, and it's consistent with how we've seen basically agendas like this unfold. So for me personally, I don't believe it. I don't believe the Ecuadorian players were bribed $7.4 million, simply because it profits them nothing. That is the biggest waste of money anyone has ever had. If it was for passion, we've seen more effective tactics. I mean, Zambia has played in Egypt so many times. What the Egyptians do to the Zambians is more effective than bribing our players to throw the match. Just give them a bit of harsh treatment and booze in the tunnels, and you throw them off their game. I don't think the price of booing is $7.4 million. So personally, after seeing the story, I think it's just connected to the propaganda that Qatar got the World Cup illegally, that they are bad hosts, that they are violating human rights, like it's been mentioned and we'll get into, and that they are literally the source of all things wrong in the world. At least that's what they're trying to paint them as in the public.
Okay, Chomba, your thoughts on this, and then we move on to something else.
Yeah, I'm agreeing to the previous presenter.
No, he's frozen.
He might have had a connection interruption.
Maybe, as he's coming up, let me throw in something interesting. For me, do you know what's exciting about Qatar? We'll get back to this. It's the fact that the infrastructure that's there. Have you looked at the stadiums?
The stadium.
The stadium. There's first of all world class, and then there's one, the first of its kind, which is it's mobile, so you can remove it. It's like, you know, those Lego, they call them Lego pieces, where you can put them.
Right.
something you removed, yes. So like in a real thing, in a big thing, so you can remove, dismantle it. So here in Zambia, if you have it in the state, you can put the stadium in Lusaka, you can dismantle it. Okay, now we want to put it in Kitwe. You know, that kind of a thing? The first of its kind. And there's so much exciting technology, infrastructure, and many things that are happening in Qatar.
That are coming up, yeah.
Yeah, because they have lots of money.
Let's take a break here, and then we'll come back and look at the human rights record and all the the work.
Do you want to promote your business on Zander Broad Talk Radio? Yes, that's right. Live on Zander Broad Talk Radio. To book your spot, just make a donation by picking from the following categories. To get started, just call or WhatsApp the number on the screen and you'll be good to go. Live on Zander Broad Talk Radio every Saturday for 1 full month. And it will stay on the recorded shows.
Hi everyone, welcome back. Our discussion today is on the World Cup, which kicks off tomorrow, November 20th, being hosted by the nation of Qatar. Embattled World Cup. This one has got so many negative stuff around it. Okay. There's the issue of human rights. I've read I read quite a lot of articles about this before we did this show, and that's the reason why I thought that we should do it today, a day before the World Cup kicks off, and we shall try to look at the fixtures, the tables, and all that. That doesn't take a lot of time. Okay, I said we were going to get to this point that Kay raised. Did you guys hear of over 5,000 workers that have died from working in harsh conditions whilst building infrastructure for the World Cup? I read a story the day before yesterday where, I don't know, it's like there's a certain disease people are getting from working in these environments. You know, it's like a long time ago, there used to be, what do you call it? You know, the mining industry, when people used to work mine, they would come up with certain diseases. So I'm told there's a certain disease within, because of working in those conditions and environments, that these people who have been working, and mostly it's foreigners, so I understand.
Yes.
Cassandra, pick it up.
Yeah.
What's been going on here?
And so the issue with understanding the human rights, to be as objective as possible, I think the biggest place to understand is how most Arabic countries are set up. Now, if you look at global populations, Arabic nations, Middle Eastern nations have surprisingly very low indigenous populations.
Okay.
So the indigenous people tend to be very few. And so it's the same with Dubai, it's the same with the UAE, it's the same with a lot of these Middle Eastern nations. They are, especially in the oil-rich nations, there's a large number of people looking for career advancement, development, and opportunities that go and settle there on work visas and things like that. So generally speaking, the nation by itself, even if it had to do anything, is 90% of its population is foreign-based.
Wow.
So most people are foreign if you are going to Qatar. It's the same as Dubai. To find actual Emiratis there is actually much harder to do. And that is why the Emiratis themselves are prosperous, because then the government can focus on them, whereas a large majority of the people that come in are migrants. It's from here that things start to get interesting. Because like you said, the article you're referencing actually came from an investigation done by The Guardian. And I've just got like a small piece of information here, and I'll just read it out. It says, a 2021 investigation by The Guardian found that more than 6,500 migrant workers from 5 South Asian countries had died in Qatar since 2010 from all causes. Now, one of the things that also needs to be brought to light, but is not being highlighted, is the causes. They did not all die, 5,000 of them, because the stadium collapsed on them. They did not all die because some Emirati was whipping them to work harder and they didn't get any sleep. There were a few accidents on site, but no stadium collapses. So it's one of those things where they were lifting heavy equipment and they didn't hold it properly, and the thing fell on 2 or 3 guys. But basically, the spread of the report said that some were workplace accidents, but some were car crashes, some were suicides, and some were deaths from other causes, including just generally the heat. So what you see is a situation where people are connecting dots that otherwise are not necessarily connected. So it's similar to if I came to Zambia and I said, ever since we changed our money, there's been an increase in malaria cases, an increase in Ebola cases, and it all coincides around the time when the money was changed. And you start to connect dots that are not really, connected to anything else, because what they did was they basically looked at who worked on Qatar and what was the mortality rate and what were the causes. And then, because some of them are like car accidents, I'm struggling to find a way in which you can link car accident to human rights abuses, but this is the composition of part of that 5,000 or people that died working on the project. Some of them are suicides, and they'll stretch it and say, I don't know, maybe they were led to it or pushed to it and strange things. Others just collapse from the heat. But what I invite you to see is if you take a much larger scope and just say how many people collapse from the heat in general in that region, I think you start to see that the number is more relatively normal in looking at their conditions. So that background is important in terms of the human rights violations, in terms of like the allegations of the human rights violations. What is, however, true is that they used migrants to build it. The explanation on different sites, that is settled. Migrants were used to work on their project. The reasoning behind this is different.
Let's address this question. Chomba, you can come in if you want here. Gregor in the UK is saying, FIFA has an oversight in this app. Has FIFA said anything about human rights issue in Qatar? That's my question. Chomba.
Well, yes, FIFA does have an oversight unit when it comes to checking on the progress of the preparation by the chosen hosting nation. However, up to this point, I stand to be corrected. I do not think we have any official report that is coming from FIFA which is proving to say these human rights violations are true. There hasn't been such official communication from FIFA. All that we are reading about these numbers are coming from these independent media houses. From FIFA,
yes.
Nothing official yet.
Okay, they haven't made any official statements?
So, no.
Okay.
Not necessarily. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think according to the University of Birmingham publication, what they're saying is FIFA has acknowledged to say, yes, there's all these issues that are going on and all, but then they have urged everyone to just concentrate on football and preparation for the World Cup. So, yeah, the acknowledgement is only to say, oh, okay, yes, we've heard there's these reports that are coming on, but they haven't confirmed anything. They haven't issued any official statement like Chomba and Cassandra have said. They have just said, everyone should just focus on preparing for the World Cup.
That's like downplaying something. Let's address the comments that our viewers are making here before we turn to Zambia's participation in the World Cup. Okay.
Right.
I want somebody to respond to this, okay? Derek says, if Ecuador loses to Qatar, there is definitely bribing involved. There's no way Ecuador can lose to Qatar. Cassandra, you're laughing too much like me. Your comment on that? Just a comment.
My comment on this is, guys, football is 90 minutes. We have seen strange things happen before. Need I remind Derek, I understand why this would look suspicious because of all the media, but the truth is Bola in 90, guys. It's actually physically possible for Qatar to beat Ecuador and there's no foul play. I'll bring your attention to Zambia. Zambia actually played Brazil in a friendly, and I think what was the score of that? I think we only managed, I think we only conceded like one goal or something like that in the friendly that we played. Yeah, it was a one goal difference. But if I told you here in discussion, guys, what would the scoreline be? Brazil versus Zambia. It's not fair. They can't.
Wait. Here's the way I'm going to respond to the example of Brazil versus Zambia. Was it a fully loaded Brazil squad with all the guys?
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, Neymar played. Yes. Neymar actually did a few embarrassing moves on our boys.
Okay.
Actually, I would like to say...
No. Forget. Let's stop there. I want you to respond to this question. I don't want us to take too much time. Okay, Kasulu, I want you to respond to that, to address this. Nyambe says, how much of a revenue boost is the World Cup expected to bring Qatar? It's all about money and who is receiving it.
It's really going to bring so much money to Qatar, way more, because they have actually constructed an entire city. They have put up an entire city from the ground just for the World Cup. They have put up, I think, 100 hotels just within the period. And
100 hotels?
Yes, in Qatar. And we're talking about a country that has a population, I think, could be less than Lusaka or something about.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so as regards revenue, it's so much money because it's an investment center in itself. So more
it's
foreigners.
An investment center in itself. Okay, that's interesting.
I just wanted to add, actually, it's slightly a little bit back, but it's just a comment. I think the biggest thing surrounding the human rights issue really is the stance I think Qatar has taken on LGBTQ. And I don't know if we're going to cover this later on, but I just thought I'd mention that.
It's okay. You can talk about it now. And when you talk about LGBTQ issues, the culprits are mainly Western countries.
Yeah. So that's really where the biggest issue is, because Qatar is Islamic, and Islam has very, very strict laws, especially connected to promiscuity. For example, while in Zambia you might not get arrested, in Qatar, having intimate relations outside of marriage is actually prosecutable by law. It's literally a criminal offense. Worse, coming out clearly and plainly telling people that you belong to the LGBTQ community. So I think the bigger noise, especially on social media, around the human rights violation is there's been a long since push to sort of get LGBTQ rights recognized as human rights. And because those are being denied in Qatar, they are then using all the other things to then sum it up and put this on top of it and say there's gross human rights violations going on in Qatar. So I just thought I'd mention that as well on the conversation on human rights.
That's a good one. Chomba, I want you to respond to Kay's comment. One of their immediate goal was to be able to measure up with Saudi Arabia. Now they want to be on the world view.
Yeah, I think when you look at Saudi Arabia, I mean, it is a big country, one of the richest countries around the Middle East. And then when you look at Saudi Arabia in comparison to Qatar, a country with a rough population of about 2 million plus, them hosting the World Cup is a very big issue because they are now the center of the world. Everybody's talking about Qatar. Everybody's looking at Qatar. So in terms of media coverage, exposure, and all the indirect investments that are going to benefit by virtue of hosting the World Cup, it's huge to them.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Let's switch gears here. Zambia has got a presence there by our favorite referee, Mr. Janis Ikaze, will be officiating. Is actually going to be, what's the terminology in soccer, you guys? It's not going to be an assistant referee or a linesman or whatever. He's actually going to
officiate,
to officiate an actual game or games. I don't know how many. What is the significance of that, Kasulu? Mr. Janis, Zambian being there.
Glad I'm going first. First of all, besides just being Zambian and all, the significance is that on a personal basis, Gianni is coming from a rough patch. Remember what happened at the AFCON? He went through.
And you would think they wouldn't consider him, right?
Yes. And then from that, you know how we Zambians and Africans have this pull him down mentality. We are the same people that spoke ill and bad about him. What went through on social media would have actually costed his career as a professional referee. So now, rising from that point and still being picked to be to officiate is actually huge for him. It shows the credibility and how much regarded he is at a world level. And also for the nation, it puts Zambia on the map, like we're always saying, Zambia Kuchalo, because our own national team is not at the World Cup, will not be representing the nation, but yet we have someone in the referee who's Zambian, who's going to, whenever he's the official, will be saying, hey, there's a Zambian there, the reports will be Zambians. And who knows, even some people that don't know about Zambia that would have gone to the World Cup, oh, there's a Zambian, they'll look up Zambia. Yeah, so these are some of the exciting things.
The national team needs to qualify, not just send the referee.
Yeah.
Mike, I have to put on referee. Chomba, what's the significance of
for now, there's nothing we can do. At least there's the Copa Queens that will.
We should talk about the Copa Queens when that World Cup for the women comes up. It's next year, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when it comes. Now we are talking about the men's.
The big boys. The big boys are disappointing us here.
Like Nyambia said, they are talking about billions of dollars here, and some countries have lost that revenue. I don't know, Chomba, if you wanted to throw in anything about Sikazwe being there.
Yeah, I think it's as usual. It's a proud moment for Zambia. We are supposed to be behind him and support him. The incidents that Kasuluba has brought back over what happened the last edition of the Africa Cup of Nations, during that match he officiated between Tunisia and Mali, it was something that was very unfortunate. And seeing him go back on the biggest stage in football, it's just something that we have to be proud of and support him. Because during that time, when he had that unfortunate incident, I think it is something that even I thought to myself, wow, is this the end of our own journey? But now he's back there, and yeah, we are just supposed to be happy and back him. When you look at the 2018 World Cup, he was one of the officials. And I think he officiated one of the games in which Portugal played. I remember when we were saying Gianni touched Ronaldo, something like that. So, yeah, good to see him back up there.
Excellent.
It's good to see him. Yeah.
You see, Patience agrees with me, Cassandra. She says, Zambia just needs to qualify and win a World Cup.
He says he has to.
Please, and thank you. I think they need as much help as they can at the moment, because currently we don't even have a stable coach.
Coach. To be honest with you, this is just a side thing. I don't even know why you're even looking for an expatriate coach. 2022, you're looking for an expatriate coach.
Loco.
I don't.
Loco is Laka.
Apart from, let's move on to something else here. Are we looking at Zambia's presence in the whole World Cup? Either it's on the pitch, on wherever. I don't know about others. This picked up. You know, when you get headlines on your phone about some news, Kalu will be analyzing for Super Sports.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a big step.
Exactly. That's why we are talking about these things about Zambia's presence in the World Cup, because it's going to show under his name profile there, right? It will show. It will show that this, it will show. So how huge is this? How big is this?
I mean, especially for him privately, this is extremely huge because he joins a league of world-class players that have hosted the World Cup. I mean, the likes of the Gary Nevilles, obviously, on the Sky Sports side of things, but it does bring him in the same category as some of the greatest to ever do it. And what that does is it definitely puts the spotlight on him. I mean, people will then look at his career and what he's done in his life, which will then obviously bring up his participation and his association with Zambian football, especially that they're discussing national team football. It makes it a very interesting case for that. I know a few people watching this will also see the politics in it in terms of showing why Kalu is the best man to be managing Zambia's football affairs, but that's obviously a discussion for another day. But in terms of us as a nation, I think the more we can get the exposure, the better it works for us, because this then translates in terms of exposure. This translates in terms of being top of mind. These kinds of considerations also then open doors for other people, because even just from a content perspective, the more people see him, the more people look for interest. For example, when Qatar got the bid, a few people went to figure out, does Qatar actually have an active football team? There are people who now are sitting with knowledge of their players that they never would have known before.
Cassandra, that was one of the issues that I was looking at. Immediately when Qatar was mentioned, I was like, you heard me ask you, does Qatar have a structured league and all those things? And I'm saying to myself, you know, you don't come up with the conclusions before you check your facts and all that stuff. You know what I'm trying to say? Then I realized, like Uncle Gregory said, it's like, oh wow, actually, Qatar's got those countries over there. Okay, that's about Kalu. Let's look at how much time.
I would like to add something quickly about Kalu as well.
Go ahead.
Great Kalu. Usually, when you've made a name, you're a celebrity, you're in the limelight, and then something happens. Usually, people throw stones. Kalu, similar to Gianni Sikazo, remember at some point there were all those CAF scandals and issues and all, and then it tries to throw away all the good that you've done. He was the African player of the year at some point, but then
1988.
Yes, 1988, all that great thing, all the great achievements that he did, he still did them no matter what, whether he wasn't a good first president or whatsoever. As a footballer, he put Zambia on the map. People say wherever they go in the world, Zambia, they are like, oh, Zambia, Kalusha, something like that, you see. Yes. So now bringing such an icon to be part of the analysts, he's actually even bigger than some of the names that Chomba was mentioning, just because they are Europeans and whatsoever, you know. So putting such a guy there is actually amazing for our nation, and it will also make other upcoming Zambian footballers aspire to be great.
That's true. Okay. What do you call it? Let's look at the tables in the few minutes that we have. We're not going to say much. I just wanted us to deal or tackle these issues that we've talked about. We shall try every weekend to sort of bring an update, who's where, who has won, and all that. Where is my stuff here? Group A, that's where the host nation is. Qatar, they have Ecuador there, Senegal, the Netherlands. There are too many groups. We don't have much time. Cassandra, who emerges from this group to the next round?
My money is on Senegal. I think they're looking sharp, but I think they've got a good chance at either coming top or at least second out of that particular group. And for me, my interest is very biased. I'm looking out for our African representation at the Qatar World Cup. So I'm very, very, very much pro the teams that have gone there. I actually think we've got a good class of representatives there. So I think for me in that one, I think Senegal goes.
There's nothing like being biased, Cassandra. You're an African. How can you support? That's why I get surprised that you guys, when you do this Manchester United, Arsenal stuff, I'm like, you're an
I can
African.
defend
So
you.
those
That
people
point
even know
actually.
you that you have to support the African team. There's nothing like being biased. Okay, let's go to the next group here. Group B, we shall, whatever few groups we shall do. Chomba, Group B, England, Iran, United States, Wales. There's no African team in Group B, right?
Group B is Iran, England, USA, Wales. Yeah.
No African
Yes.
team, Chomba. Vale protect America from being walloped by an African team.
Yeah. Well, without any African team in Group B, well, I'm backing the English team to progress.
The English
to
to
the next
qualify
round.
from that team.
Boo.
Since there's no African team, let's go to Group B.
But the USA is going to be a strong contender for qualification. I think they'll give England
US
a run
in
for their
there.
money.
It might be England and the US.
Yeah.
Because the two teams qualify from each group, right?
Yes, but there's Wales in there as well. That's Gareth Bale's home nation, and they do know England well. So England might have a very
difficult
a
time
very
with Wales.
interesting shock if they're not careful. Yes, because I think Wales would be hungry for this. So England really needs to pay attention. They should be able to qualify. They have the stronger squad, but football is 90 minutes.
Kasuluba, Group C, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, which is one of my favorite teams, Mexico, Poland. No African team in there. Your take, who goes from that group?
Firstly, Argentina, the Messi, obviously, as on paper.
No, but the pundits are saying Argentina is winning the World Cup this year, so we don't know. It's not us. It's just the speculation.
It's not just Messi, but the entire Argentine squad.
The pundits, it's not us. The bookies have Argentina as the favorites to take it, so we don't know.
Then the other surprise there, in as much as there's Poland, but Mexico is a strong team as well.
Mexico is a strong team.
Yeah, Mexico.
So you are
I agree with that.
So you are picking Mexico and Argentina from that group?
I agree with that. Yeah.
It was a surprise package, yes.
Okay, here's Group D with an African team in it. France, Australia, Denmark, Tunisia.
I wouldn't back Tunisia.
It's tricky.
I wouldn't back Tunisia because I'm not so convinced. It's about the play.
Yeah. Also, they are playing very tough opponents, because France are former world champions. They've got high quality. And Denmark in the last Euros really showed that they've got strong squad depth. So it's going to be a scary one for them.
It's going to be a scary one. Okay, Group E.
Very scary.
No, look at Group E. Spain, Costa Rica, Germany, Japan. All these teams are strong. Is this the one we shall consider, Cassandra, as the group of death?
This is a proper group of death.
Japan?
Costa Rica, Japan, Spain, and Germany.
I think, Chomba, this is the group of death. I didn't even see this.
Yeah, this is looking aggressive.
But you see, my friend, my brother and good friend, what do you call it? And we were talking, was it yesterday? Derek and I were talking about this. And Germany, Cassandra, is not the Germany we knew when there was been a clean. Is it still good?
The problem with Germans is they don't use people; they use system, and we've seen this year in and year out in competition. After, even when they are down, they've lost their star players. There's a way German efficiency it's very strong.
It's not about players.
It's the system.
Okay, Kasuluba, you are saying?
So Germany, even in the previous times, they will rarely have that one target man. There used to be, for example, yes, there will be Muller, Klose here and there, but it's the entire team. That's how come they'll give Brazil 7-0, because the shots come from all over, including the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Do you know what I consider to? Do you know the way what I say about Japan, Chomba? Japan, I consider what we used to call power dynamos. Akal, I don't know how old you guys were. Giant killers.
Giant killer.
That's what I look at Japan.
This is a very it's a very tricky
very difficult group.
Like you've said, Japan. These guys are giant killers.
And then when you look at this is the group of death. I don't know how many groups there are. Group F is Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia.
I think this one is more straightforward.
Belgium
and Croatia.
Belgium and Croatia. Morocco doesn't have a chance?
Not against Croatia and not against Belgium. Belgium has the best team, arguably, to never win the World Cup, and Croatia just can't be stopped. Like every time you put it past them, they always show you that they've got good quality. So I'm expecting Croatia and Belgium to really dominate the group. Canada, I haven't seen any football that's threatening out of there, but they qualified, so they always have a chance. And Morocco is a good thing. You know what's strange about African teams? Our friends in the north part of Africa are strong when it comes to playing against fellow Africans. So in the Africa Cup of Nations, you see a lot of strong showings from the Moroccos, the Tunisians. But when they go to Europe, I don't know what happens. The down South Africans and the West and the Eastern Africans seem to do a whole lot more than the Egypt of. It's a very strange balance. And so I'm wary of expecting too much from Morocco.
Okay.
I agree with you, Cassandra.
Okay, let's go to G. The mighty Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Serbia. I don't know much about
Cameroon is going to.
We have a chance, yes, I agree. Yes. Brazil and Cameroon. I feel like Brazil and Cameroon can do it.
Okay, let's go to Group H. There's your favorite player rather. Ronaldo? What's his name? Portugal,
Cristiano.
Ghana, Cristiano.
And South Korea. Here's where I think this group is going to have the most upsets.
For me, that's the group of death.
This one?
No, I actually think there's going to be a lot of upsets in this one. Because if you asked me to pick, I would actually pick Uruguay and Ghana. I actually think Portugal are in very poor shape and form right now. I think they will be knocked out in the group stages. And Kasuluba, you remember this conversation. I'm telling you, Portugal is not what it used to be. They literally struggled to qualify. They got in by the skin of their teeth. They had to play very, very intensely.
To be very honest with you, Cristiano, from the INF Cristiano, I've always looked at him as an overrated guy. That's my position. Okay, that's the last group right there.
That's rather harsh. That's rather harsh.
No, it's not. That's my.
No, he is good. He is actually very good.
No, you see, when you look at his numbers, trust me, he's one of the greats.
You see,
numbers, statistically, yes.
To use Cassandra's point, he does very well at league level, but when it comes to the World Cup,
no. Actually, even for the world, he has got great numbers for the country, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your time. And here's the final comment here from Uncle Gregory. This World Cup will produce a big surprise. All are playing on neutral venue.
Very true.
And
very true.
You know, I always hope for those situations where an unlikely winner emerges in these things. But tournaments are tournaments. Like Cassandra keeps saying, football is 90 minutes.
Ball and 90.
Ball and 90 minutes. So, gentlemen, we shall look forward to the, to the knockout stage, right? After this stage, then they get into the knockout stage. That whoever loses is out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what time will most of the games be showing in Zambia? Kuno, it will be like Derek, help me out here. I think
it's going to be for us. It's going to probably be. Let me actually just check the times for the games actually. So like the opener is at 18, so it's going to be about 18 hours.
So 18
hours, 15 hours, 18 hours. Yeah.
Okay.
15, 18, 21. Yeah.
It will be around this
15,
time,
18,
right
21.
now.
Yeah, about.
So
yeah.
Tomorrow, if tomorrow's game will be played around that time, it will be around this time tomorrow.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you. Everybody, enjoy the World Cup. It starts tomorrow. Check your local listings, like they say. And we tried to weave through this thing of making Qatar look black or dark or the black sheep. In my view, there's no World Cup that has happened without any issues behind this. It's just that most of the time it has happened in the Western countries. We are not downplaying the human rights issues. People have died for real. I'm not downplaying that. It's sad that those things have happened, but let's not paint a country black because they've got oil money to be able to do this thing. Chomba, don't be a stranger, man. Kasuluba, be on him. I want him after 2 weeks. Let's do this when we get to the knockout stage. Are we getting knockout stage? Sure. All right.
Yeah.
And we can look at predictions based on what we said who will go through.
That will be good. Yeah. That will be good. So let Kasuluba, Chomba, Kasa, keep me posted about when we get to the knockout stage so that we shall look at it from that point of view. Gentlemen, thank you. Enjoy the game tomorrow.
All right.
So let's give the winner, whoever wins, they just win. There will be no payment of money. Whoever wins, wins.
Yeah.
Do you want to promote your business on Zander Broad Talk Radio? Yes, that's right. Live on Zander Broad Talk Radio. To book your spot, just make a donation by picking from the following categories. To get started, just call or WhatsApp the number on the screen and you'll be good to go. Live on Zander Broad Talk Radio every Saturday for 1 full month. And it will stay on the recorded shows.
Zambia Blog Talk Radio.